Matthew 24:6 says that we will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not alarmed, for this must take place, but the end is not yet. And so we're seeing plenty of that today. As I talked about this morning, with Trump directly threatening Russia with nuclear war by moving two nuclear subs closer to Russia, he says, in case their rhetoric becomes actual action, so to speak. I'm paraphrasing here, but that's basically what he said. Because of the recent comments by former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. So, to go along with that now, we have this that just came out. China is now massing troops in Fujian, opposite of Taiwan. So here we go. I've always said that once the war kicks off, it's not just going to be Russia going after the West, it's going to be China too, probably North Korea as well, all working in concert. And now we have rumblings in Iran, as the Iranians are calling for nuclear strike or preemptive missile strikes against Israel. We'll get back to that in a second. Here we go with China. The Chinese army has carried out a massive deployment of military personnel to Fujian, a city close to Taiwan. According to local sources, only the invasion order of President Xi Jinping is awaited. Earlier today, China's Defense Minister Dong Jun stated publicly that if China's sovereignty over Taiwan is threatened, U.S. military bases in Japan and South Korea will become legitimate targets. Beijing will not tolerate foreign interference. Yes, every base in South Korea for sure would absolutely be toast. Japan too, here they are. Those bases would be gone in the first missile salvo, or at least good chunks of them would be, because North Korea's got I don't know how many rockets and missiles aimed at those bases, along with China too. So, below is the map showing all the bases, as I just said. So as of 11 a.m. Eastern Time today, Taiwan has raised its state of maximum alert and across the country in anticipation of a possible imminent Chinese attack. Meanwhile, British Defense Minister John Healey publicly stated today that Britain is ready to fight in the Pacific if Taiwan is invaded. With what? I don't know, but that's what they're saying. China belittled him by publicly laughing and saying Britain has more admirals than warships. Indeed, it does. I would agree with that statement. So Hal Turner says that China has a long history of patience. They can play these games with Taiwan forever. So is this a big psyop? Good question. Unless China decides to flip the script, theirs is a history of patience. There's also a history of war too. When it's time to do it, they do it. So they're not going to go cowboy in. Also, the main thing they want from Taiwan is their infrastructure and technical expertise. A full-scale invasion jeopardizes all of that. If China does do something, they'll do it when everything is aligned and by getting their hands dirty as little as possible. Their boldest move would be and I agree with this, naval and air blockade to halt all Taiwanese imports and exports and starve them out, literally and financially. I have a feeling anyone expecting a D-Day style invasion will be sorely disappointed, but nowadays, who knows? Indeed. They're asking them to at least occupy Taiwan, if nothing else. But I can also understand how they don't want to destroy all the very valuable infrastructure they have there, including all the chip manufacturing, because they're pretty much it. Other than the plants they're building here in the United States now, or Taiwan, I should say, is about it for making chips around the world, including all the ones for cars that they did not have available because of the pandemic at the time. So that caused all kinds of shortages in the car industry, for example. Anyway, that may be what they do. They may just form a blockade, a naval blockade, and an air blockade around Taiwan, calling them off limits and blockading them. In the meantime, I would expect Russia to strike as well. I believe they're going to coordinate this attack between China, Iran, Russia, and North Korea. I believe they're all going to hit the West and the United States all at once. So now let's move over to Iran. Here we go. Iranian calls for nuclear strike or preemptive missile strike against Israel. So, following the 12-day June 2025 war between Israel and Iran, there have been calls in Iran to carry out preemptive strikes against Israel using ballistic missiles or nuclear bombs. In July 12, 2025 article in the Ideological Daily Fatun Emruz, analyst Amir Abbas Nouri discussed the possibility that the attacks against Iran by Israel and the United States will resume, asserting that an Iranian preemptive strike against Israel is being considered more seriously than ever by the military commanders and the political elements in Iran as a preemptive strike, or step, I should say, to an Israeli attack against Iran. So they would basically be taking the West playbook and using it for themselves because they do preemptive wars all the time. Look at both Gulf Wars in Iraq, for example. Weapons of mass destruction was complete nonsense. They didn't exist. George Bush Jr. made fun of that at a dinner, a press dinner, a few years after the war had started in Iran, or Iraq, excuse me. But now others in the Iranian regime have called for Iran to attack Israel with a nuclear bomb, and they've got them. I've already showed you guys the LA Times article from 1992 saying that they bought nuclear warheads from Kazakhstan. That was Russian intelligence at the time because everybody was worried after the fall of the Soviet Union about the nukes getting out, and some of them did. Just saying. So, let's see. Majlis National Security Council member, I'm not going to try and pronounce this name. Just not, that's an alphabet. But anyway, he's a Security Council member in Iran. He said we must be able to build as many nuclear bombs as we want in less than 24 hours and to equip our missiles with tactical nuclear warheads. Well, that's unrealistic, but they have some anyway. They just don't know it yet. And they've got weapons that are beyond that, according to the Iranian military. So on July 12th, 2025, Mahdi Mohammadi, an advisor to the Majlis speaker, shared an Instagram story showing a map of Israel with 2 nuclear bombs detonating in it. Iranian international security expert Azargan said that Iran must build and test a large nuclear weapon that will deter its enemies and warn Tel Aviv, since Iran's survival is dependent on this. So this report will provide an overview of the recent calls in Iran for a preemptive strike and nuclear strikes against Israel. Now let's read the rest on your own. But they are calling for it. They are discussing it in their military and political circles. A preemptive strike against Israel before they get struck again. And this war between them never really ended. They have what I would call a very informal ceasefire. And it's the only reason that they're ceasefiring right now is because it behooves both sides to do so. But now Iran, that they've recovered from Israel strikes for the most part, are saying, all right, well, maybe we should take them out now before they hit us again. And there's been rumors, that's just rumors though, that Israel is thinking of striking Iran again right now. But we'll have to see. Right now, they're kind of sidetracked in Gaza, but when has that stopped them before? So we'll have to keep our eyes open, guys. There's a lot to look at, but we're not to have any fear. God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So remember that. And lean into that when these times come, because they're going to keep coming. As you see here from Matthew 24:6. And then, of course, we got Matthew 24:7 going on around us everywhere, too. For nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Boy, do we have earthquakes right now. Still, all kinds of huge aftershocks going on in Russia, off the Kamchatka Peninsula. Huge 6.5s. They're not huge, I guess, but I mean big enough. And these are aftershocks. And they're saying something even bigger is going to hit. Probably maybe around Japan, they're saying. I mean, in southern Japan, they're still having those quakes. So who knows? A lot to keep our eyes on, guys. Prayed up and prepped up at all times. And that'll be it for now. God bless. Take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.